everyone, my name is Roya, and here I am with a new video that is kind of different, but it's one that I've been looking forward to making. So if you recall, I did have the goal in mind this year to really try to not buy any books and try to kind of keep the amount of books that I acquire to a minimum. So obviously I was given books, sent books for review, all that stuff, and unfortunately, when the pandemic happened, I did end up buying some more books and not reading them right away like I had planned to, because a lot more of the books that I read that were ebooks than usual, which takes into account, you know, some of it is review books that were sent to me via ebook rather than physical copy because of the pandemic, and my not having a job and not really knowing what to do and feeling really bad. So I bought books, because when you're sad, you buy books. It's just what you do when you're, I don't know, somebody who wants to buy books, I guess. In other words, I completely failed at my not buying books. So I'm going to talk about kind of how many of the physical owned books I read this year versus how many I acquired. And this goes over, you know, this takes into account books that were sent to me or given to me, as well as books that I bought. And this is not going to count, so the books that I read is not going to count library books and ebooks. It's just going to count the physical books that I own, because this is what I'm trying to cut down on. I'm trying to not have quite so many unread books that I have hanging around. So some factors that kind of went into my ending up with a little bit more books than I had planned to at the beginning of the year is partly, you know, because YALLWEST was canceled, and that's what sparked my initial purchase of a few books, like right before the pandemic happened, and a couple of pre-orders and whatnot, because with YALLWEST not happening, I wasn't spending that money going there, and I wasn't going to be getting books. And so since I was so sad not to be seeing my friends and getting books and seeing authors talk about books, all that stuff, I decided to take out my sadness on, you know, getting some books. So I got some books because of that. And so that ended up leading to me pre-ordering maybe like a couple of books that I might not have otherwise. But then also, you know, some books, several books did come out that were like really, really anticipated for me. So normally I pre-order maybe like one book a year. Like I really don't pre-order that many books usually, but I pre-ordered like 6 this year, and that's kind of insane. And because of the pandemic, my reading progress has been really bad, like especially bad in general, but also I read fewer physical books just because I did get a lot more ebooks than usual. So partly because I got some for review because publishers have been sending mostly ebooks lately, and also partly just because if I wasn't going to work and I wasn't going anywhere, I just kind of read. It didn't really matter to me whether it was a physical format or not, because typically when I would go to work, I didn't like take my Kindle with me. I just took a book, like whatever. So that, you know, that led to me reading a lot more ebooks than usual. So I have read 80 books this year total, including ebooks and library books, and only 40 of them were actually my own physical books. So that means half of what I read was library books and ebooks, and that's a lot more than usual. I don't like measure that usually in a typical year, but it's definitely like there was definitely a big uptick in the amount of ebooks I read this year, which is crazy. So I'm going to go over how many books I acquired versus read per month, not quite every month, but you will see, and also kind of how many of them were books I just got versus not. In January through May, I got 17 books and I read 26, which is not bad. In June, I hauled 13 books and read only 1, which, and that, again, that's physical books only. That's not counting ebooks, because I read a lot of ebooks that month. So then in July, I hauled 4 books and I read only 2 physical owned books. And then in August, I hauled 9 books, and I again read only 1. Then in September, I hauled 4 books and read only 3. Again, that's because a lot of what I read was ebooks, and I'm not counting ebooks. In October, I also hauled 4 books, and I read only 2. And in November, I only hauled 1 book, and it was sent to me for review, and I read 4. That means that so far this year, and again, this is just through November, so December we have yet to see, so I hauled 52 books, and I read only 40 physical owned books. So that definitely means that I need to read 12 books that I need to read 12 owned physical books before the end of the year to get back on track with canceling out how many books I received. So yeah, I don't know. But so anyway, in terms of what year I got each of these books, so a whopping 25 of the books that I read this year were ones that I got in 2020. So I am doing pretty good about reading mostly books that I just got as close to the time as I get them as possible. And a lot of this is because a lot of them were review books. So I did, even once the pandemic started, I was still getting like a few books that were physical books for review, but mostly they have been ebooks since then. The only 10 books that I read this year were ones that I got in 2019. There were only 4 books that I read this year that were acquired in 2018. So I currently have 27 books acquired in 2020 that I have not yet read. So anyway, that's kind of where I stand on books hauled versus read this year, and that is kind of terrible. I'm really bummed that I'm that far behind on my goal of cutting down on like how many unread books I have, but that's really okay. It's not a huge deal. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know it is kind of weird and might be a little bit boring to some of y'all, but anyway, I kind of had fun compiling these statistics and whatnot. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!